Hi people, today I am going to explain about AWS IAM service. So today is 1st June. In the last month I completed Terraform topics. I am familiar with Terraform topics. I revised again and understood it again. Because I want to express clearly and I want to explain it clearly. To communicate clearly and to understand the core logic and to go deep into the Terraform topics, I revised it again and I practiced projects related like EC2, modules, VPC, networking, and like S3 bucket, remote backends, state files. I created a lot which are more than intermediate level. So it's a lot to me. And I skipped it there, I left out there, and I moved to AWS IAM service. This was all a scheduled program that I designed for myself to improve and enhance my skills in DevOps. I am not going deep into shell scripting or Python topics. I am going deep into just only about DevOps tools and AWS services. Knowing about these tools and getting familiarized about these tools is much more efficient than other things. We should know about these things, and everything is essential, but I am focusing on this as I am at this level, and I saying to myself it's okay to me, I can gain this knowledge. After gaining this knowledge I can move to other level. Then I can focus on shell scripting or Python or other things. But first I need to know how DevOps works and how AWS services, how they both can improve scaling, security, and enhance workflows of companies, how it will. So after all this process, I build real-time projects, I build end-to-end DevOps AI projects, I do more. So today I started AWS IAM service. By this end of this week, I'm familiar with AWS IAM services. I create roles, I create users, I create groups, I create policies, I create customer managed policies, and I attach these policies. I know which resource need which policies, which resource need which capabilities, how the users connect through APIs, how to give API permissions, how to give SDK permissions, how to give user console permissions, how to enable MFA access, how to attach policies, how to create inline policies, how to create roles. There are multiple stuff, but once I go deep into these topics, it's easy. AWS IAM is all about security and permissions. So let's start about AWS IAM service. AWS IAM is a service provided by the AWS for security and permissions, which controls the security and permissions of users, resources, roles, services. At the end of AWS, it's a top of all services which controls who access what. AWS IAM is all about, it's like a guardian of AWS account which controls everyone actions. So IAM is a identity access management. With IAM, AWS security scales and we can audit who does the actions and when, where. It is possible with AWS IAM, and the more thing is we can maintain the policies, we can maintain the users, we can maintain groups, we can maintain roles. Everything is controlled under AWS IAM. Without IAM, it's a security nightmare for AWS or companies to think about permissions, think about security. And without IAM, we couldn't scale the permissions as the business grows. And it is not possible for consistent security. We couldn't easily maintain the users, we couldn't easily audit who did what. It's not possible to for maintaining more than multiple users in one environment, multiple users of a company. That's how AWS figures out and resolves everything. And AWS IAM mostly works on 4 pillars of authenticity. It's about identity, authentication, authorization, and accountability. So these 4 pillars about identity. Who is the user? Who is the user accessing the AWS account? Who is the accessing the resources? And authentication. How? Whether it is console access or whether it is software development kits, cloud, CLIs or APIs interface. How he is authenticating the AWS account. Next, authorization. What resources or what permissions he have, what resources he can access. A user can access like EC2 instances, S3 bucket, VPC or Lambda, what he can access. That is what authorization. What are the permissions he have or the capabilities he have to access or work on AWS account. And finally, accountability. To audit actions through CloudTrail. AWS CloudTrail is a monitoring tool which helps in monitoring the or auditing the actions of the users, who did what, when and how, and who accessed what resources and what does he changed or what does he did in those resources. That's it. AWS not only work for users, we can give permissions to resource, we can give permission to user to resource to user, role to resource, service to resource. There are more than ways we can give permissions to. So AWS IAM is much better than the without IAM for security and permissions. Finally, how do we create roles? How do we create users? First of all, in AWS IAM, the core components are users, policies, groups, roles, and 4. Okay. AWS IAM user. We create a user. For creating user have 2 access types. One is programmatic access and another one is console access. After creating user, we attach policies to the user. The policies is in JSON format. The policies have information about which resources, what actions can the user do, what are the permissions are describing in this policy, and this policy is attached to the user. Instead of this, groups are way more than the users. It improves scalability of security, it improves scalability of permissions. Instead of attaching policies directly to the IAM user, creating a group and adding user into the group and attaching policies to the group, it have additional features like in the future adding the multiple users in that group, users automatically inherits the permissions or the policies that are attached to the group. That's the core topic. And next, multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication is all about even if the user have right access with the password, he should access with the OTP or any scanner or any passkeys, which is called multi-factor authentication. And next, roles. Roles are used for specific user or group or individual service. Why? A role work for short period of time, it is used for short duration. For like a EC2 can access 1 hour for S3 bucket, we should go with roles. That's how roles works. Finally, audit. Audit of actions is done with CloudTrail, which is called also monitoring who did what and when and what resources he accessed. That's all about AWS IAM. Thank you.